Hello viewers, welcome to Kids Auto and Truck Repair. Today we have a 2014 Audi Q7 with a 3.0 liter, and I have Carl here with me.
What's going on?
Carl, thanks for being here. We have Carl helping us today. So the complaint on this vehicle is the vehicle goes into a limp mode. The engine loses power tremendously. Now, we're gonna figure out why this engine is losing power. But before we do that, we're gonna go in the vehicle and test drive the vehicle around the shop. Hopefully the vehicle is gonna go into limp mode, and then we're gonna start our diagnosis from there. Now, I did replace the battery on this vehicle. The battery was completely dead when the vehicle got here. So we don't have any trouble codes in the engine computer now, because when you replace the battery, it erases the computer's memory. We're gonna have to test drive it. Hopefully it's gonna act up, and then we'll go from there. So now let's go in the vehicle and test drive it and see what happens. Before we go on a test drive, I wanna tell you a little bit about this vehicle and how it got to our shop. This vehicle came from the Audi dealership. This vehicle is my brother-in-law's car. He told me that the vehicle was fine before. He parked it on the street. He was visiting his friend. And when he got back to the vehicle was parked. He noticed that the bottom of the front bumper was cracked. So someone hit the vehicle and ran. So it was a hit and run. After that, he called his insurance company. The insurance company told him to take the vehicle to a collision facility so they could fix whatever that was broken with the front bumper. So they took it there, and then the collision repair facility said that the radiator and the radiator supports, and I believe the AC condenser also had to be replaced. After they replaced those parts, they towed it to the Audi dealership to fill out the transmission. They had to put transmission fluid in the transmission so that the vehicle could be drivable again. Because when they replaced the radiator, they disconnected the transmission lines, transmission fluid came out. When the guys at the Audi dealership got the vehicle from the collision repair facility, they filled out the transmission with the correct amount of fluid. The guys at the collision facility went back to the dealer, picked up the car. When they drove off the parking lot, they realized that the vehicle was not going over 25 miles an hour. So it was in a limp mode. So they took it back there to the Audi dealership. The guys at the dealership said the vehicle had a problem before. We just filled the transmission. So if it's going into a limp mode, it's not our problem. So the guys at the repair facility told the guys at Audi to diagnose the vehicle. They diagnosed the vehicle. They said that the turbo was bad. They said the turbo is defective. That's why it's going into a limp mode. Well, they called the owner, which is my brother-in-law. They gave him the news. They said, your vehicle has a bad turbo. It's at the Audi dealership. They have to take care of it. He said, well, no. I mean, my car was fine before. I was driving, everything was well. I drove my car to your shop. You fixed the front end of the car. You replaced the bumper. You replaced the radiator. And now you're telling me the turbo is bad? No. So they went back and forth. He told me about what was going on. I was out of town. When I got back, he told me the story. I talked to the guys at the Audi dealership. We went back and forth, and they were trying to make me believe that the problem was the turbo. Now, what I want to say before we start the diagnosis with this, I told my brother-in-law, if the vehicle was fine before, it was driving well, and all of a sudden it started going in the limp mode and it started losing power after they did the repairs at the collision center, then whatever that's going on could be a byproduct of what the guys at the repair facility did. I mean, the collision repair. This vehicle is a diesel. It has a diesel engine, and it's turbocharged. There is a charged air cooler. I believe on this one it's in front of the AC condenser. If it's not in front of the AC condenser, it's going to be on the side. So when they removed the bumper, I wonder if something didn't get connected properly, because the limp mode only started happening after they fixed it at the body shop. I told them to check the charged air cooler. I told them to check all the tubes between the turbo and the intake. They said they checked everything. The problem is the turbo. Now, my brother-in-law does not want to replace the turbo because he says his car was fine before. So we are here to figure out if the guys at the Audi dealership were right, or if the problem was caused by what the guys at the body shop did. We went back and forth. We talked to the insurance guy. The insurance guy accepted to have the vehicle towed to our shop so that we can diagnose it. So we're gonna send them the video that we're making right now, and we don't know what the results will be. So we're gonna test drive this. Hopefully it's gonna go on in the limp mode, and then we'll pick it back from there. So what do you think, Carl?
We're about to find out.
We're about to find out, right? So this is a 3.0 liter diesel engine. It's the same like the Sprinters we work on. These small diesel engines with common rail systems all work the same way, same thing. If you work on Sprinters, you will most likely be able to fix this one. It's the engines work the same way. So we're gonna go on a test drive. Let's confirm the complaint, and then we're gonna do some tests to figure out where the problem is. So you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's do this. Now we have a scan tool connected to the vehicle. Okay, so now I'm gonna start the engine. We're gonna look at some data PIDs. Maybe we can look at some boost data PIDs on the scan tool, and then we'll go from there. So now let's take this for a test drive. Let's start this and see what happens. All right, so as you can hear, the engine is running. We have one light on the dash. We have the airbag light that's on the dash. Carl is gonna go into the engine computer. So he's gonna select Audi. So the vehicle has been identified. So let's click OK. Let's do a code scan. I don't think we're gonna have a code right now because, you know, I just put a new battery in this, but let's do a pre-scan and see if we have any codes there. So ECM, power relay, the energized performance too early. So this is probably because of the battery that was weak before. So let me turn off the engine. Let's turn the key on. So what we're gonna do is let's erase all these codes. I mean, the scan tool is going to save all these codes for us. We're gonna erase all of them, and then we'll go for a test drive and see what happens. So let's wait until it finishes scanning all these modules. Okay, so all these codes are saved. Now you can just back out. Let's go to clear codes. Yeah, clear all of them. Click continue. All right, so now let's go to engine management. Continue. Now, right now we don't have any codes. So we don't have any specific data we need to look at. So let's just go for a test drive now.
Why don't do functional tests?
We don't have to do functional tests right now. Okay, so let's see if it's gonna go into a limp mode. Now the other thing could be, maybe before it went in the limp mode, I mean, because of the dead battery that it had. I don't know. So we're gonna find out. All right, so we are on the road. So we're gonna give it some speed. Okay. So I revved it hard, and now I see the glow plug light is blinking on the dash. I'm going to slow down. So I hope you can see that light right there. So the glow plug light is blinking. I'm flooring the accelerator pedal right now. Actually, I'm all the way down to the floor, and we're losing power. So we are barely going over 30 miles an hour right now. Okay, so we are definitely in a limp mode. Okay, so that's good to know. We don't have to go far. We're gonna find a spot where we can turn around and drive back to the shop. Actually, yeah, oh, it's losing power now. I'm like flooring the accelerator pedal right now. And it's taking forever to pick up. Wow. All right, so that's customer's complaint confirmed. This vehicle is definitely going in limp mode. So let's turn around over here and drive back to the shop. Okay, so before we drive back to the shop, let's stop here. Okay, Carl, let's go to codes only. Let's see if we have any code that came up. Oh, okay, so let's see what we got. We have, let me see the codes we have. So these are the codes that came up. First one says mass or volume airflow circuit range, performance. And then the other one is turbocharger, supercharger, charger UnderBoost. And then the third one is charger, turbocharger, supercharger, charger UnderBoost. So we have UnderBoost trouble codes. Okay, so this is what's causing this vehicle to go into a limp mode, because we have UnderBoost trouble codes. And these codes can be caused by either a bad turbo or a leak between the turbo and the intake manifold, because we could be losing the charged air that the turbo pushes to the intake. So if we have a leak between the turbo and the intake, it's gonna cause the vehicle to go into a limp mode. So now we're gonna drive back to the shop and figure out why we have these boost codes set in the engine computer. So I'm gonna drive back to the shop.
So the guys at Audi probably saw these codes and were just immediately replaced turbo.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because I wonder if they just saw these, like, you know, turbocharger code and supercharger codes, and then they were like, okay, replace the turbo. Yeah, because with those codes, you will definitely have a limp mode symptom, because yeah, if the whatever the air that's being pumped to the engine is not making it to the intake, it's going to throw that code. And the mass airflow sensor code is the byproduct of the low boost code, because I believe what's happening is the computer is looking at the mass airflow sensor input versus the intake pressure input, or the boost pressure sensor input. You know, actually the other thing we could do before we drive back to the shop, let me stop here. We can look at our boost data PIDs. Okay, so let's go to engine control. Okay, so let me see the scan tool. So I just want to look at, let's see if we have some boost data PIDs here. The information coming from the boost pressure sensor and the mass airflow sensor data PID is not lining up. So there's a discrepancy between the mass airflow sensor input and what's in the intake, and that's why it's throwing this code. So I need some boost data PID here. Okay, right here, charge air pressure. So we're gonna customize this list. I want to look at my boost pressure. I want to look at my actual pressure versus desired pressure. And then if we have a data PID for the actuator on the turbo, I want to look at that as well. So let's see what we got. We're going to grab our charge pressure. So right here, charge air pressure specified value, charge pressure actuator acknowledgement, charge pressure positioner commanded value. So this is the control of the actuator on the turbo. I mean the command of this actuator there on the turbo. So charge pressure actual value. Okay, so that's it. These are the only data PIDs that I want to look at, and I'm gonna focus on the charge air pressure value. I'm gonna focus on the actual PID. So actual PID and the specified. Okay, so actual versus desired. Okay, so right now at idle we have 14.3 psi, which is good. Okay, now let's test drive it again and see what happens. So Carl, you can hold that. Just let me know what values we get when we drive. So let's go back on the road and get some speed. Okay, so I'm flooring it right now. I am losing power. Okay, so it looks like they're both like mirroring each other. It looks like they are showing us the same values. So here what I'm looking at is any discrepancy between the actual value and the specified value. Now the actual value should mirror the specified value. Now the only difference I see here, look at this. Let me pause this. You see this little rise over here, and how this one is a lot lower. So the computer is kind of expecting the boost in the intake to increase. Okay, so this is what the computer is looking at, and this is what it wants. And this sounds like we're losing boost pressure somewhere. We're probably losing boost pressure. So, okay, with that being said, let's drive to the shop. I actually hear a little hissing sound coming from under the hood. So I'm gonna drive back to the shop and then I'll bring you guys back up. Yeah, I'm kind of gonna bet my money on the leaking charger cooler. So we drove the vehicle for, I don't know, less than 10 minutes. As soon as we got on the road, the glow plug light started flashing and then the car started losing power. So it doesn't take long for the engine to go into limp mode. So that's good. We know we have a problem, so we are back at the shop. We're gonna put the car on the lift, and then we're gonna power brake it first up here on the lift, and then we'll see what happens. There is something that Carl just mentioned as we rolled up to the lift. When I was rolling the windows down, there is a loud hissing sound coming from under the hood. Listen to this. I'm gonna roll down the window. Hopefully it's loud enough to the point where the camera is gonna pick it up. Let's roll down the window. There is a hissing sound coming from under the hood. So I hope the camera is picking that up. I'm gonna put the gear selector in park. When I put it in park, the noise goes away. Can you tell the difference? So the hissing sound under the hood goes away when I put the gear selector in park. Now when I put it in drive, so we load the engine, I hope the camera is picking that up.
So you can go outside and I'll do it inside?
Yeah, so actually let's get it up on the lift first.
Okay.
And then you can do it while I have the camera under the hood. So we're gonna lift up the vehicle a little bit. We got the vehicle on the lift. So Carl, take a guess. What do you think the problem is gonna be?
Low, or how would you say that? Bad connection to the boost cooler?
To the boost cooler, okay. So you think we have a leak around the charger cooler?
Yeah, right here up in the front.
Around the front, yeah, because we could hear a hissing sound coming from under the hood.
Very minimally.
Yeah,
yes,
there's a hissing sound there. And this vehicle was fine before, you know? Now, the guys at the dealership said, let me show you what they said. They said because of this exhaust leak, if you look over here on this downpipe that goes to the DPF, there is a little exhaust leak over here. And they said because of this leak, that's probably why they thought that the turbo is leaking. And they said there's a leak around the pedestal of the turbo. And they were gonna replace the turbo to fix this. So now let's see if they were right. Now, we're gonna power brake this vehicle. So Carl is gonna go in the car. He's gonna start it and put it in drive for us. We're gonna lift up the vehicle. We're gonna get the wheels off the ground. And then we're gonna put it in drive and see, hopefully the hissing sound is gonna be loud enough to the point where we can hear it. Okay, start it. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna lift you up. So as you can hear, the engine is running. We're gonna lift this up. We're gonna get the wheels off the ground. All right, so we got the wheels off the ground. So now put it in drive. Rev it. Okay, hold on. Put it in drive and step on the brake pedal. And then while you're stepping on the brake pedal, rev it at the same time. All right. Do it again. All right. So there is a hissing sound coming from around this area. I hope you guys can hear this. There is a hissing sound around this area. Do it again. All right. Okay, I hear it. It's loud and clear now. Do it again. Perfect. Okay, there's a loud hissing sound around this area. So now I'm gonna lift you up, all the way up, while I check under the vehicle. I'm pretty sure we're losing boost pressure around the charger cooler. And this is what I told the guys at the dealership. I said, if it wasn't losing power before, and it only started losing power after they did some work on the front end at the body shop, then probably a hose or something is not connected well. But they said, no, it's not that, it's the turbo. We're about to find out. What's that?
Anything to sell a job.
I know, yeah, they were just trying to sell the job. They were just trying, they were gonna replace the turbo. Can you believe that? The vehicle is up. We're here under the vehicle. Oh, check this out. Wow, so here's the problem, guys. This is unbelievable. You see this? So we are losing boost pressure from this tube over here. This tube is coming from the turbo, so the air that's pushed from the turbo goes to the charger cooler to get cooled, and then it goes into the engine. So we are losing boost pressure right here. So this is the problem, guys. Now we're gonna power brake it, and we're gonna watch that. I'm sure our air leak is there. Right there. All right, do it again. Wow, so here's the leak. Do it again. Do it again. Can you guys hear me change the pitch of this sound? Okay, it's good. Turn off the engine. So you see this gasket, this green gasket sticking out over here. So this is the problem. So we are losing boost pressure over here. And this is why this vehicle is going into a limp mode. So the low boost code that we have is being caused by the charge air that we're leaking from this cooler. And this is caused by the work that was done at the collision repair facility, because they removed the bumper, they removed the AC condenser, they replaced the radiator, and they disconnected these tubes. So they didn't put this tube back properly. And this is why we're losing boost over here. So to fix this, I'm gonna recommend replacing this little tube over here, this little rubber tube, and this O-ring over here. And after that, we should be good to go. I'm not gonna reuse this tube. We're gonna replace it. So we're good. What do you think, buddy?
I think it was an overseen mistake that could have been easily prevented.
This is unbelievable. So we're gonna do a quick visual inspection under the hood, and then we're gonna leave it here. I will talk to the insurance guy tomorrow. Oh, look at this. The mass airflow sensor connector is broken. See over here? Mm-hmm. The tab is missing. So they broke this off. We're gonna have to replace that. Okay, so everything else kind of looks good under here. All right. So, what do you say, Carl? What do you say about this Audi?
Easily preventable.
It's crazy because it's interesting about how they went about diagnosing this, because I did talk to the tech at the Audi dealership who was diagnosing this and who said that the low boost code was coming from the turbo. And it's just like you said earlier, I'm sure they saw the code that says turbocharger, supercharger, low boost, and they went like, okay, replace the turbo. So they saw the trouble code and they said the turbo is bad. So this is very unfortunate. It's very sad. This is why people say that mechanics are crooks. At this point, I don't know if it's negligence. I don't know if they were just trying to like sell
a job.
Sell a job. And when I went there, they actually started the car in front of me, and I could hear the hissing sound coming from under the hood. And I told the guy, because I talked to the technician who was diagnosing this, I told him I specialize in sprinter vans. I fix sprinter vans all day long, every day. These engines work the same way and they're the same. You have a boost leak somewhere. And he didn't want to listen. He was like, no, it's a turbo. We checked it. They actually told me, because I said, if you don't see a leak, use a smoke machine, smoke the induction system, and I'm sure you'll find a leak somewhere. He said, no, we smoked it, and there's no leak. It's the turbo. So it's very sad. And can you imagine if my brother-in-law did not have me as his brother-in-law to kind of check it, to get a second opinion? I guess they were going to say yes to replacing the turbo, and they were going to replace the turbo. The car wasn't going to be fixed. Yeah. And I'm sure they were going to find, something else.
Turbo, cooler, manifold.
Yeah, they were just, they were just going to be like replacing
piece.
Parts.
Yep.
This is very sad. And I see the mass airflow sensor connector, the tab is broken. And this is caused by the collision repair shop. When they fix this, because they removed the whole front end, when they put it back together, they didn't put certain things back well. And that's why we have this problem. So we're gonna leave this right over here. I know we did a lot of talking in this video, but I wanted to show you how, some shops are treating their customers. And this is the dealership. So taking your vehicle to the dealer doesn't always mean that the guys who are working on it at the dealer knows what they're talking about. This is very frustrating. So tomorrow I'm gonna call the insurance guy, because we're dealing with the insurance guy over here, because the insurance guy told me, if you can prove that whatever that's happening is not caused by the turbo, but caused by what the collision repair did, we're gonna pay for the repair and everything. So I'll call them tomorrow. I'll send them pictures. I'm sure they will see this video later on when it comes out, and then we'll pick it back from there. So I'm gonna replace that little hose on this side. I'm gonna recommend replacing the charger cooler too, because I saw there it looks like the opening where the hose goes into is a little warped. So we might as well just replace the charger cooler. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna fix the mass airflow sensor pigtail, and this will be good to go. So any last words before we wrap up this first part?
If you're ever unsure, get a second opinion.
Yes, I agree. If you're unsure about what they're telling you, get a second opinion. This was an easy one, but the guys at the dealership could not figure it out. And they said they had the top mechanic, the top guy over there diagnose this. Very sad. So we're gonna bring you guys back up once we get the parts. We're gonna install new parts on this, and we should be good to go. So see you soon. Bye-bye.